Hey everyone, welcome to AsembleAI, where AI, deep tech, and science meet storytelling. I'm Sam Day.
Hey, I'm Mac Goswami. So today we are diving into the EU AI Act, the world's first comprehensive AI law. Now, some of you guys actually wondering, what is UI AI Act? So just wanted to let you know, guys, EU AI Act is one of the world's first comprehensive legal framework regulating artificial intelligence, using a risk-based approach to ban unacceptable risk and strictly control high-risk AI and impose transparency rules on general-purpose models like ChatGPT to ensure safety, fundamental rights across EU, setting a potential global standard for trustworthy AI.
Thanks, Mac. So when people hear about regulations, compliance, their eyes glaze over because it is huge, right? But the EU AI Act became law in 2024. And even if you're not in Europe, it's still going to affect you as long as you're touching the data or doing something that resides or something that relates to commodities in Europe. Remember GDPR and all these cookie banners? I'm pretty sure there are some data professionals and marketing
Right.
professionals out there. They heard the term GDPR as they have to be compliant of GDPR if they're dealing with data. So the EU regulation, something like that, and it also went global due to the emergence of AI.
Absolutely. The Brussels effect, right? So let's
Mhm.
break this down. The core philosophy is a risk based framework, 4 levels: unacceptable risk, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk.
Okay, so why don't you just explain a little bit further, Mac, on those four different kind of risks that you mentioned?
Yep. So, unacceptable risk. Let's start with the number one. So, that is means banned outright. Social credit scoring, manipulative AI, real time facial recognition in public spaces. High risk. High risk is one of the strict requirements. AI in hiring, credit scoring, law enforcement, healthcare, critical infrastructure. This needs testing, documentation, human oversight.
So basically, what you're saying, Mac, it's kind of anywhere AI touches, we need regulations, and those regulations are basically driven by humans. At the end of the day, AI is going to touch human lives, so we also make sure AI regulations and compliance aligns with people's rights, right?
Absolutely. And these are so important because I hope Sammy remember that one of the project that we did together, and we were also creating a lot of AI related stuff for changing the facial when we were both in Microsoft AI community. So the problem was that
Yeah.
a lot of there are a lot of students actually at the time, like they were trying to do, they were imposing celebrity image on an AI generated photo, and it's totally illegal. So then, so that's what we always need: AI regulations. We always need proper policy in place.
Yep. No, absolutely agree with you. Now, can you tell me a little bit about how these regulations and compliance related to big AI models, especially models that generated by GPT or like LLM OpenAIs, or even Anthropic's cloud models?
Yeah. So GDPR gives individual rights like access, correction, deletion. But what happens when data is baked into a neural network? Can you even remove 1% data from a trained model? No. So that is actually extremely difficult. And, like machine learning, it's one of the active research, and, some written without the data, right? So that is eventually become very, very expensive. So that's one of the reasons, that regulation should be in place in a proper way.
Yeah, I mean, but now tell me, okay, so you're kind of like thinking about those practical examples, like whether it's adversarial testing or incident tracking or even cybersecurity measure. So in each area where we are dealing with sensitive data, and if we are implementing AI, we would need to make sure that we have proper compliant. And I think the European Union wants that kind of like a considerable too. Now, in terms of enforcement, what do you think, like how we can enforce that If you can share some of your some details around it.
So, for example, let's say model cards document intended use, right? Performance across demographics, limitations. Companies like the top big four companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, they can use them, right? The EU AI Act requires similar documentation. So, model cards are a practical solution. How to enforce them? It's also
Hmm.
depend like uh, state level, because it's not just for one country. It also come eventually boils down to a federal regulations, and then it boils down to the state level. Now when it in state level, then it will come to enterprise level. So eventually at the end of the day, it will be the executive decisions that how they are going to implementing the AI policies. And second thing is that how they are going to maintaining it at the same time. So it not just that we have AI policies and AI regulations in place to the executive level, to the enterprise level, but we also need to make sure that someone is monitoring that it is properly implemented, right? So that's one of the challenges that we face all the time for the enterprise level.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, when we're implementing any EU act or any guardrails or compliance in our processes, we also need to make sure that how we're going to roll out that, right?
Mhm.
And that's why the timeline is necessary. And for EU, I think what we have seen that the bans, like the EU AI Act started banning some of those taking some effective measure from early 2024, 5. Then general purpose AI requirements started getting compliant in mid 2025, and then they started kind of like implementing full high
Yeah.
risk compliance by mid. There's planning to do it by mid 2026. Now, my question to you is that the criticism is always like this will stifle innovation. So, what's your take on that, and how we can mitigate that to make sure we are keeping balance between innovation and compliance at the same time?
So in my opinion, that's always a challenge, and that will be a challenge, because if you want to maintain the AI policies in place, and at the same time that you are trying to keep your organizations very innovative, it's kind of hard to balance it out in both the ways, because there are then you will have to give up a lot of chances to innovate. Especially we still don't know like what exactly needs to be done with the data that when implementing AI to it. Even it is falling into a category that which is violating the AI policies or regulations. Even most of the teams, like they are dealing with the data and they're implementing AI, they do not they're like most of the time they don't even know that they are even breaking the policies or not. So there is always a challenge actually for that, and how to cope up this. I say it in that way, that before even touching any work, even in enterprise level, even I think individual level, I think we first need to what is exactly AI policies tells about that. Even you do not have any enterprise level AI policy, but you are doing it is an individual level. You need to first go through that what are the policy regulations on a federal level and on a state level. If you have that, at least if you have 80% 90% understanding that what are the guidelines are, and based on that you can start implementing AI, I think that will be helpful. And for enterprise level, I think that we need to make sure that even touching any enterprise level of data and any kind of enterprise level of model, we need to make sure that we need to ask someone even before touching the work, that we need to ask someone that what is the AI governance team in the enterprise level. And then they should be able to guide us like this is the guidelines, this is the policies, and based on that, at least my organization has that, and this is the guidelines, and based on that we need to implement that. So whenever we'll be implementing anything on AI, we know that this is the policy in place already for my enterprise, and we need to
Yeah, totally agree with that. So, bottom line for our listeners, three things. First, regulation is here. The Wild West is over. You can't just think about implementing an AI and you can just go ahead and do it. That's not possible anymore. Because at the end of the day, if you're really trying to implement AI, in a secure and industry within the industry infrastructure. You need to make sure that you're following proper protocols, you're working with your legal teams and implement guardrails before doing so. And the second thing is that this also kind of creates opportunities in compliance tech and trustworthy AI area. There will be a lot of responsible AI specialists and experts who will emerge from these practices. And the third point is think about your use cases. I mean, are you in high risk domains? Like Mac, you mentioned that, in your organizations, you are dealing with high risk, high sensitive data. So you need to be the forefront of this responsible AI and making sure that whether your company is following EU AI Act or is some US regulation compliance doesn't matter, but you have to follow certain compliance and laws to
Right.
make sure that your data is secure and your AI implementation are compliant with the external authorities, approved by the external authorities. So
Right.
now, just to kind of like wrap up this discussion, can you explain that how your kind of like works, especially in your organization, or the way you are implementing like AI and making sure it's putting the check boxes in all these EU AI Act or any other acts? Can you just walk our listeners through one example before we wrap up this
Yeah.
discussion?
So one of the things that we do, that let's say we are creating an AI chatbot, right? So then the first thing is that we first go that we need to make sure that we first get in touch with our AI governance team, center of excellence, and we first actually need to find out that what is our the AI policy guidelines and the regulations. That's the first one. So because every month also it is getting updated. Sometimes we have downloaded it, we have bookmarked it, but maybe next month it maybe there are a lot of other informations will be added to it. So we always need to make sure that we are completely up to date with the AI regulations and AI policies. That is the number one thing. Second thing is that when we anyway, whatever kind of AI we do, at the end of the day, is basically what the source of data. AI is nothing without the data part, right? So we need to be aligned that what is the source of the data. So when we are using the data, we need to make sure that that is already fall in place. The AI policies fall in place, and we are maintaining that regulations. It could be a CSV file. It could be a particular any database from a data warehouse. It could be just normal CSV format files, JSON files. It could be any kind of data source, but still we need to make sure that this has been allowed in our organization AI policy. And the third one is that so now what we can do now, it's we already that we know that this is the data source. We are completely following the AI policies and regulations. Now it's time to create the AI, that whatever it could be an AI chatbot or it could be a custom LLM. Applying the AI, how we are going to apply the AI. That's also another thing. Like what exact data segmentations we can touch, what we cannot touch. So once implemented, the last part would be validation. So like also there are regulations as well, like what the output that we can generate with that one. It's also kind of enterprise level decision. And then based on that, the output, and the fifth one would be that whom we can share our data. So that's also another thing. So we definitely need to make sure that we are not, through just using that AI, we are not sharing or using any kind of sensitive data. At the same time, like to our client, or just to give them some sample files. We cannot simply like AI generated sample files which has sensitive data. We should not even send it to the clients or any other person as well. Even we should not have by your own as well the sensitive data.
Yep.
So these are the couple of things actually we should definitely take care from an enterprise level.
Yep. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for giving some practical examples to the listeners. So, to our listeners, thanks for listening to this special episode presented by Inside Assemble AI, sharing some of the details about the comprehensive AI laws, such as EU AI Act, or some of the other compliance rules that followed by US organization, as Mac shares some of the practical examples followed by his organization to ensure they're compliant in their AI practices. So please reach out to AsembleAI team if you want to dive deeper on this topic. In our next episode, we'll cover data governance aspect of AI implementation. So please stay tuned for that. And we'll talk to you next time and keep building responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you.